My name is Laura Rusk. I was born in Poland in 1922, not far away from the German border. I am privileged to be among you today, exactly the Shoah Day, and share with you all my experiences under the Nazi persecution time. I was giving speeches all over, mostly in countries where I could speak more German, like in Germany, in Bavaria, in Switzerland, and also occasionally in Paris, in the Notre Dame of the American Society. Actually, I have tried to be active and to fulfill my mission, since I have, in a wonderful way, survived Auschwitz-Birkenau. My story is very original and interesting because I was trying to escape from very well-guarded concentration camp with patrol, iron wire and wall. And I promised myself that one day I will try to escape. Of course, it was a very risky step. So, I decided on one Sunday, when we were in our rooms, counted, I put a pillow in my bed just to impose that I am there, and at the meantime I have run downstairs to the iron wire. And I tried to close it. Since I was with one leg on one side and then with the other side, I have realized that the patrol, the SS, is approaching me. They looked at me and asked, "Is there somebody standing here?" I decided to keep silent and not to speak. And I don't know what happened. When I opened my eyes, the patrol disappeared. But they approached me maybe 50 meters away. So it was something that is very, very unusual. Anyway, I had to cross the wire, and then I stood before high walls. I was between the iron wire and the walls. And I don't know how, I just managed. I looked on the corner missing bricks, and I tried to reach the top. It was like one floor high, and I jumped downstairs. It was so risky, so, that the highest authorities later couldn't believe that I could done this. My lucky escape, unfortunately, didn't last too long, because I was denounced. And the punishment for me was public hanging. And I knew that my life would not end as I have wished. Anyway, I was brought to the Gestapo, and the chief of Gestapo spoke with me and asked me about who I am, where are my documents, and I pretended to be a Polish girl that went illegal the border. So I was extremely surprised when he said, I don't know who you are, but I trust your face. You would be working as a dolmetscher here. This was for me something impossible, but of course I accepted, and I was kept a couple of days until I will get documents and everything, but my situation was very risky. Anyway, in few days, documents came. They were searching all over in Germany after girls, after me. And he asked me, why you didn't tell me the truth? I have to send you to the SS institution. But I have to give you to choose, to go back to the camp you escaped from or to Auschwitz. And I was thinking at this moment, what is nicer, the gas chamber or the hanging? And I was thinking, I should go better to Auschwitz, at least knowing how my family passed away. I was sent...
You already knew that Auschwitz is extermination?
Yes, it was known already. But I deliberately preferred to die on this way. When I came, I was a very big sensation over there. They could not believe that I could, from such a well-guarded concentration camp, escape. And they started with me to make all kind of investigation, who helped me, etc. It was very unusual that a young girl could, without any help, to do this. Anyway, the chief of political department in Birkenau had a very nice conversation with me when he checked that I am from Oberschlesien, the place that he came for. Anyway, he didn't send me immediately to be killed, only he left me and I went to a barrack. I got my number and I was sitting on this barrack a short time, and they sent us to work to carry stones, very heavy work. And with dogs and the SS watched if we work or we do something else. Anyway, I saw that I will not survive under this condition all day long without food. So I pretended that I am sick, and I was sent to a barrack where supposedly sick people have to be cured, have to stay, but every day came a car to take Jewish girl to the gas. And I had another wonder, I have to say, that they walk around me and didn't touch me. And then I went after a few days, I went to take a shower, and I got a position to be in charge of transport to make list. What I have seen over there, living next to crematorium, this was hell, and I don't know if there is language to describe how thousands of people, mostly from Hungary, arrive in the morning, and in the evening there is ash. Life in Birkenau, I don't know how I can imagine myself today. In the morning, you have to get up at 4 o'clock, get ready for a morning appel, an roll call, and then sent to work. I tried, it was a fight to go and wash. It was everything very quick until we came and got some food, which is in awful way something that you couldn't eat. And I never found anything that I could eat, because the person we eat, everyone from one plate, and they had all kind of, it was awful. So I remember that one day I found a potato, and I was very happy that I would eat something. So when I waited until I can on the oven bake a little bit, when everybody was asleep, maybe 1,000 women in a barrack where only 200 could sleep. And then I wanted to eat my potato, but when I started, I saw women who were next to me watching. So I just felt that I have to, on a very hungry stomach, to share the potato with the others. So anyway, I try in the midst of internal Holocaust to remind human, and never did something that would be not human. My life in Auschwitz was extremely 24 hours we had to wait for that. We never knew when is the selection, and we had to undress immediately, and when somebody had only something on his house, skin was taken away. I was lucky not to do this, to get away. I remember that one day one of the commandants asked me how bread we get. So I said I was always joking. So I said that the piece of bread that I get, I can see the whole landscape. So he just was laughing, and I don't know, they admire my courage. I was very famous because of this. Yes. I don't know, there are many things that happens in Auschwitz that it is hard to remember everything and to proclaim. I actually lately put everything on DVD and show the details on DVD, and then we had a discussion. Because right now, when I speak, I will try to put only the light that I have, but not the highlights. You know, for instance, when I arrived in Auschwitz, it was terrible. You know how the SS received us with the dogs, and we had to at night go to Birkenau, which was the main place, the factory, the dead factory. So when I asked one SS man, can somebody live here? Because all over was fire. You saw only fire. Is somebody alive here? So he looked at me and said, don't worry, only the Jewish people are getting burned. So this was my first greeting in Auschwitz. Yes. Anyway, when the iron door was open and I entered the famous place, I saw thousands of people, at this time Hungarian people, who were running, and I heard that they were praying, Shema Israel. You know, very afraid, and the SS was beating them and pushing them. And I said to myself, my goodness, I was so courageous, and I just have to come to Auschwitz and see my end here.
Ma, excuse me.
Yes.
Ma, when you saw the commandant, you didn't speak about
Yes.
Auschwitz.
So when I was but my destiny, I was waiting, because I supposed to be public hanged. This was the punishment, and there was no exception. So one day when I was on the barrack, the two SS came and asked me to come to the main office in Auschwitz. And to go over there, it meant to go to the public hanging. This was the commandant who just decided. I always remember the scene when I entered the office and the man was asking me question, and I answered him because they wanted to know who was helping me to escape. So I told him that nobody. I was courageous and I was trying to escape on my own, and I was lucky. So he just looked at me and asked me a very unexceptional question. And the question is in this book titled, "How do you like Auschwitz?" Before hanging. Is this a miracle or just a joke? I didn't know what to say, but after a while I knew my answer would mean my life. I said, "Thank you, I have no complaints." So he looked at me and said, I see we share the same opinion, because I think that everyone who comes here can live 100 years. And you know what? Instead of hanging me, he let me go. Yes? So I consider that this was a miracle. You don't get away so easy from hanging. And then I can compare, I try to put together the highlights actually, because this is the most interesting to see, to show actually that I was on a special, I will say, divine power, because it's impossible. Once can be accident, but every step is not so easy, you know? And when I was on the way to the gas chamber after arriving, I was just standing. I compare my situation to the Am Israel when they had to cross. They stood next to the Red Sea to cross, and behind the Egyptians were after them. They were in hopeless situation, and Moses stood up and said, "Don't worry, you will not suffer, you will not see them anymore." And you know what? I was in the same situation. I was on the way to the gas chamber, and behind me the SS. And what happened? 2 SS came and called me to step out from all the thousands of people. Is this accident or again a miracle? On such a way, I survived Auschwitz. And I have here in this book, which was written by in Yaffo, there is an old church, St. Peter. And the priest over there is Holocaust survivor. You know, as a young boy, he saved his life and his family was killed. But what happened? He became a priest as a young boy. He went from one place to another until he went to a cloister, but he behaved like a Jew. As a matter of fact, he's also a poet, and he writes my story in form from poesy. But he never denied his Jewish roots. It is the priest Proboski and Jakub Hirsch Griner. And here This is printed in Polish, unfortunately, and sent a card also in Hebrew. And this is what he said. That's because this book I try to translate in English because it's very interesting, and that's what is very admired in the publishing house, which is a Catholic house in Lublin. This is a very old Jewish place with yeshivot, and now on the 1st of July would be celebrating 700 of Jewish life in Lublin. So I have to say that my life was really saved by God. Otherwise I will not survive. And I have a mission to speak, especially to remind the new generation of the message left by the people who went already in the last time of their life in gas chamber, and they have with their fingernails described on the walls, never forget. So I feel that my mission is to speak that the world should not forget about it. This is my function, and I thank God for giving me the possibility to survive, and I am glad that I could, with faith, with courage, escape the death industry, Hitler's and his helpers. I didn't say too much. I wanted just to share with you some highlights that are not very common. Everybody who survived is a miracle, because to live in Auschwitz, it's even, I don't know if hell would be enough to describe. I have to say every day thank you for being alive, and anyway, in my age, I try to do my best. I hope that I will be able to do it until my last moment. And my mission is to speak. The world should know what has happened and never forget, and especially the young generation should be warned and learn. Unfortunately, the world didn't learn. But I have to do what I have experienced, and to show that there is always hope, that the good thing will win, and the enemies of Israel will not win. I don't know if I have said too much, but I could just show you my DVD. I don't know what would be better.
Maybe find out if anybody has any questions. Find out if the people have questions. Find out if anybody...
I've got a question. Have you ever considered, or have you been back to Poland? Have you visited...
Yes.
Can you speak louder?
Have you been back to Auschwitz or the March of the Living, or have you been to Poland, to the place, the shtetl, or the place where you came from? Have you revisited the area that you came from?
Did you ever go back to Poland? Did you ever go to Auschwitz?
I tell you, no, I can't go back to Auschwitz. I tell you why. I can speak about my experiences because it's on my heart, on my brain. I know every minute how I spend. But if I will come to Auschwitz, you know what will happen? For me, this would be not an empty place. I will face my being in Auschwitz. When I will make any step, I know what has happened. You know, and this is too much that I could take it. On one side, I can speak about it, but to be on this spot, and I will see how people arrive. I saw the selection when the transport arrived. You know, I look through the hall and I saw the selection, links and left. I will see, I will go again through this. Yes. And you know, there is, I don't know, but in my opinion, this is the worst phenomenon in human beings' history. And there is no comparison to Holocaust, and no logic can give answer until today. So much bestiality and brutality and inhumanity. This is behind human beings' understanding. Only Almighty God can give us the answer.
Laura, could you tell us about the moment when you were freed? About the moment you were freed, where everybody was freed.
Yes, the moment when I was free.
Liberated.
It was the wonderful day to feel that they disappeared, the SS, the door was opened, the iron door, and I felt free. And it was a wonderful feeling to feel a normal, like a normal person, without dogs behind me and SS. But it was extremely painful to me when I, after a couple of days, arrived my place where I came from, and I went to see if somebody has survived. So I went to the ghetto. It was a colony with little houses where the peasants were living. And when I went to the place where my family was living, I asked if there is something left, because I saw everything what was ours was there. So the woman said, yes, I have an album. So I said, wonderful, and give me the album. I took it, and I saw there were no pictures. So I said, why, where are the pictures? And she said, we throw them away because when the people got burned, so why we should keep the pictures. This was the answer. So I left everything and I ran away. Yes.
Did anybody else in your family survive?
Nobody survived. Everybody went. I saw when there was a big selection of a football, when the German came, gave the order that the whole Jewish population shall come. Yes. So my family, and they decided a commission who goes to this group, and children and women and old people were sending in one group, and young people in another group. So I realized that it's not good, so I tried to escape. I was having a Red Cross box to help if sometime, and I was lucky to get out of it. And then I saw in a day, we stood 7 days in rain without food, when thousands of people were pushing to the train, cargo trains. And I saw my family was passing in my eyes, my aunts, my mother. My father was already sent before to a labor camp. My whole family, I think 50 people or so, were passing by, and I never saw them again. And they, from the place, Sosnowiec to Auschwitz, was like 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So they were all killed.
And the friend you escaped with, was she?
Yes.
Did you know her for?
Returned, and I saw him, and he came immediately to fight for Jerusalem.
There was one brother who survived from the whole family.
Oh.
And he came to fight for Jerusalem at this time.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, this is almost...
Ma, just a moment. Some people have questions.
I just wanted to understand more.
Excuse me, only I don't hear so well, so I want that my daughter should...
Okay. Just a little bit more about the life in the barracks. Did they have to shave? What they were wearing? What was the conditions of life?
What was the condition of life in the barracks? Did the women have to have their hair?
Yes. When I was taken away on the way to the gas chamber, I was taken to a next barrack, and I got the dress, the Auschwitz dress, stripes, with a robe here, with 2 different shoes, and the hair, he didn't permit to cut me with the razor, only very short. I put a thing, and then I went with maybe 2-3 people who just were saved and didn't go to the gas. Yes, and I went few kilometers to the A-lager, camp, and over there waiting what will happen to us. But I was very big sensation. Even the main Obersturmbannführer from Germany came special to see me, and when I was going with some other group, they showed him, but I didn't wanted he should see, to make a spectacle with me. So anyway, they knew that I was the one that risked to escape from such a well-guarded guarding camp. Iron wire, patrol, and wall. I wonder today if somebody would be able to do such a step.
What about the sleeping conditions?
The sleeping condition, yes, we were on maybe 5 people on a bench. Yes. And I met one day a school friend, but she had a good position over there, and she said, I can help you. If you want, come, we'll go to the C, because they were A, B, C camp. And you can be over there a block oldest one. And a block oldest one has a very better condition to survive. So when I went with her and 2 SS women, and I saw they were the Hungarian girls, almost naked, with some, laying like this, everyone, you just, it was shocking to see how they look like. So I asked, what do I have to do as a block oldest one? I knew I would be never in selection, I would get better food, etc. So anyway, so what shall I do? So I was told, you have to do everything what the SS will ask you to do. And there were many little things, even to go to the toilet when it was not permit, you didn't have permit to go. So I said, you know what, I thank you very much. I will never like to be instrument in the hands of SS against my people. And I gave up the position. This is also an episode, but you could have seen scenes impossible. People were taking garbage and ate. It was starvation, unbelievable, and over there you could see that even the most educated people, when it was to survive, they just behaved under dignity. Or the whole education disappeared. Only nature surviving. I think there is no language to describe the hell, Auschwitz, Birkenau. But Elie Wiesel said very well that education is very important in life, only when it is used for good purpose. Otherwise, it brings only destruction. And we know it is true. So after the war, I started to be active I was in the United States, and I was trying to the victims of Auschwitz to help to get their monthly payments for health damage. I was traveling all over and helping them to get their money, because the lawyers in Munich, where I was, they found that I am capable to help. And then I started to give speeches. And I had to be useful, because when I survived, it was a purpose. We have to make our life useful and just show that we are on this world not just for our pleasure. We have to be useful, and you know, the most important thing is the tzedakah. I think you got a little picture of Auschwitz, of Birkenau, but you know, there were so many unbelievable scenes. After the roll call finished in the evening, you know, there was a big market. You know, people were changing bread, giving bread for something else, and the most valid money were the cigarettes, because with cigarettes you could just improve your life by giving the SS something that they should not treat them so brutally. But in a better form, you will have seen in DVD, because over there I went step by step, everything. Once I remembered well, but I think I am still having good memory. I don't have to mention that I am 94, so I have to be happy that I am still normal. Of course, we have something to fight with, but this is the price. I have 2 daughters, and wonderful daughter, Helena, who really is giving her time and everything. And I really am under wonderful care, and that's how I am, is probably thanks to my daughter's help.
And nature.
Yes. I have already grandchildren, and one daughter lives in America, in California. She has her family.
And great-grandchildren.
And grandchildren. Yes. And now what I wanted remain that at this time, 2 years ago, I got in Hey Hayal a big hall, because there is, you know, time uprising in Warsaw ghetto. I have documentary. but everybody's supposed to see this. You know, life in Poland before the war, in Warsaw, and then when the German came, what has happened? And how the young people fight without any weapon, you know, and kept for a couple of weeks the German. They wanted to stop the deportation to Treblinka. This is on such a beautiful way, such an unbelievable way. And I have the documentary film made in 1948, and I showed them in the Hey Hayal. Couple of 100 people were, they even were at this time over there, and they were very moved. Yes, it happened on Pesach.
So if anybody is interested, Mom probably can organize another projection.
Yes.
She has the DVD, and Beta Hayal will be very happy to do
Yes,
it.
this is extremely interesting to see.
And it's subtitled, right? It's in English, English subtitles.
Yes.
It's in Polish and English subtitles. Okay?
I wish I would be able still to. This is the first time that I speak with Jewish people. Otherwise, last time I spoke with Notre Dame in Paris. Then
Before
in Bern, and
to a group of 1,200 Swiss
yes,
people who got up and they were all singing Hatikva.
yes.
And
Yes,
it's a
there is-
pro-Israel group.
There is an organization pro-Israel, and they are doing every year 1 week Israel. Yes, and I was invited to the Congress Hall to speak. Yes.
Can I ask a question? Tell me if it's too personal, but did she ever speak to a group that denies the existence of the Holocaust?
Did you ever speak to a group that denied the Holocaust?
No. But you know what? I wish I could speak. I wish even I could speak to the Arabs.
You wanted
Because
appointments
I
with the
had a
Jews.
chance to speak in Germany to the top generals. I wrote an article, Israel in God's Promises. And it was so well done, you know, that they got up and they hugged me, and they were at this. And this I have sent to President Bush, to Johannes Rau, the biggest friend of Israel, to Katsav and Ariel Sharon. I have here the letters, the answer. You know, it was beautiful done, only based on the prophecies.
Laura, we'd like to thank you. We'd like to thank you, first of all, from everybody. The plant that symbolizes life, and may your family keep growing. From all of us.
This is the book, which is very interesting.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Certificate of appreciation. What's interesting about this book, besides the mom's story, done in prose, the preface is written by the bishop of Lublin.
Would you like to
And
hear
it's
some?
extraordinary. He is trying to open up Jewish-Christian relations, and he is very, very much involved with Israel, and that's what makes the book extremely interesting.
The introduction to this book was written by bishops who are appointed to deal with Israel, to build bridges between Judaism and Christianity. And you know what? He loves Israel and he loves Jewish people. And he wrote introduction here. If you will just, it is so beautifully done, it's one page, that I like, if you want.
With the time?
Yes, here,
With the time?
last year, he made a big speech. It is always one day in Poland, Judaism, and he speaks. You know what he advised the Polish people? And he kept here a nail to light a candle on the Shoah day. He ordered this to Polish people. Mieczysław Cisło. And you know what? What he does all the time, I sent him Birkat Kochani. And he put it on the whole world, and all the bishops who came bowed their heads. But if you...
Do you want me to read it?
I like just few words here. You will see how a bishop writes. The last century went down in history as a time of many and various genocides that took millions of innocent lives. However, the extermination of 6 million Jews by the Nazis was unprecedented. The Nazis condemned the Jewish nation to annihilation, and to achieve this, they used people, science, industry, the army, and the world's indifference. Just a handful of Jews survived the Holocaust. They survived to bear witness to their nation's fate, to preserve their tragic history, and to prevent its falsification, as well as to arouse the conscience of the world as a warning. Despite the passage of time, one question is still relevant. How was it possible that this horrible time of genocide was carried out by the nation that gave birth to great artists, writers, poets, philosophers, and outstanding scientists? Elie Wiesel, a prisoner in Auschwitz, wrote, "They are the proof that knowledge without morality brings destruction, and the science without ethical foundation turns into a tool against mankind." However, there are still unanswered questions, like the one which Chaim Weizmann asked. Why did the civilized world remain indifferent in the face of this unthinkable massacre of human beings whose only crime was to be members of the nation that was given the 10 Commandments by God? John Paul II made a similar remark when in 1979 he stood in front of commemorative plaque to the Holocaust in Auschwitz-Birkenau. I will pause here by this plaque written in Hebrew. The inscription reminds me of the nation whose sons and daughters were destined for extermination. This is the nation that received the commandments, "You should not kill," from Yahweh, and yet himself suffering killing in such a particular way. The Holocaust calls for the examination of the conscience of the whole of mankind. That includes Christians. John Paul II asked God many times for the forgiveness of the sins of members of the church who by their actions or their indifference contributed to the suffering of the Jewish or caused their deaths. No wonder some people say, "Do not forgive them, for they knew exactly what they were doing." But there are also some so heroic as to be free of hatred. Also, time does not heal the wounded memories of tragic experiences. Some of those who survived the hell of the camps, the ghettos, and the wandering managed to find a form of internal liberation. One of these is Mrs. Laura Rusk. We meet her in this book, which documents the tragic fates of Holocaust survivors. Actually, we meet two people here. The other, the survivor, Jakob Griner. He is also known as Grzegorz Pawłowski, a literate prelate who is the writer and poet who put the story told by Mrs. Rusk into verse. Also, they survive in different ways. They share common experiences, the loss of their family, danger, lonely wandering, survival fears, hunger, suffering, the will to live, and an affirmation of life, the courage to look into the eyes of death, internal freedom, and many years later, the ability to keep a distance, if that is at all possible, between the past themselves and their tragic experiences. No, this, I don't know. I don't know if I should read you more, but he asked here, would I, the question, would it have been possible for the Jewish nation to regain their own state without the sacrifice of the Holocaust, which eventually rose consciousness and appealed to minds? On the other hand, was it necessary for the nation to pay such a great price for their return to their homeland? In the context of the Holocaust, one sentence is often repeated. He who saves a single life saves the entire world. This statement can apply to each and every Jew saved because it is the synthesis of the fate of the whole nation. It is not possible to annihilate the nation endowed by God with his historical redemptive mission toward the whole of mankind. As Jesus of Nazareth says, salvation is from the Jews. However, the question still recurs. Why does it appear that the Jewish nation is destined to suffer so much? The question can be repeated forever, because there is no answer. We have to learn to lead normal lives like Mrs. Rusk, with a sense of personal and national dignity, with great hopes for a bright future to the nation that has for centuries given so much to the world's repository of faith, morality, wisdom, knowledge and culture, while fulfilling the mission bestowed on it by God. Yes. Anyway, I don't want to read it more and more.
No, but it's beautiful. It's for a man to write something, and it's for a non-Jew
this
to
is
write it.
a writing of the main bishop.
Beautiful.
And he does such a great things for Jewish nation you can believe until today. And I am invited for inauguration of the book written, dedicated to the bishop in Lublin, written by the poet from Yafo.
In July.
And yeah, and I am very welcome, and I have wonderful relation. And I said, I congratulate you to the renaissance of the church. Maybe they understood how they have to deal with Jewish people and Judaism, which is a base of all religion.
Let's hope there are more people like this. Not so many of them in Poland, but the young generation is. The older generation is still.
Laura, thank you so much. Could we have a picture? Is it okay?
Yes, of course.
If we take a picture?
Oh,
whoever wants. Yeah.
Whoever wants a picture. You want?